Thank you very much. Now it's time to start the next session. The next presenter, Mr. Sasada, is a Ruby committer involved in the speed up of Ruby interpreter and performance improvement of virtual machine, garbage collector, and debugger. And at the present moment at Cookpad, he has been working on the development of Ruby interpreter from 2017, and he has been serving as a director of a Ruby Association from 2012, and he is going to talk about debug.gem, the Ruby application debugging. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm Sasada. So first, this is today's presentation summary. The first thing I would like to emphasize here is I have just developed a debug.gem. Why don't you please just have a try with them? Actually, this is bundled with Ruby 3.1, but I think just this is just updated debugger program, and then that is quite easy and compatible with for IDE integration with such as VS Code and Chrome, and the remote debugging that is also built in, so this is very convenient. So I would like to just present what this is, but you may realize soon once you have a try with this one, this is not so easy, particularly the first step may make you feel a little bit difficult and with this gem, so why don't you please just contact me and ask any question. And first about the debug gem, that is shipped together with Ruby 3.1. So once you install Ruby 3.1, and then you install a debug gem together with them. And so that is from Ruby 3.1, but if you are user of Ruby 2.7, but still you can just install this debug gem by the command gem install debug. And then this is a little bit quicker or faster than others. Actually, there is no slowing down, and then that is integrated with IDE, and it can be integrated into IDE, and the remote debugging is possible as well. And here this is some materials written in English and Japanese, either of them. And going back to the debugging of a program, so in what kind of situation you would like to debug the program? At the development or at the actual use, you may find the program behave a little bit weird way. I think many of you sitting here are programmers, and oftentimes you may be wondering why this program runs this way or behaves this way. Oftentimes you put a print or a p method in the case of Ruby, so you try to just print or display the lines and trying to find what is the problem. But sometimes you may just find no reaction at all from the program, and then sometimes you may feel that the program is running very slow, possibly with many strange method or unexpected stop. There are many factors you may feel a little bit strange or weird when you try to run the program. So debugging is to just remove that kind of errors or identify and then modify or correct the issues or problems of the program. So here this is about the basic functions of debug gem, and that is quite comparable to other debuggers. Well, first you would like to stop a program here and there just temporarily, and the debugger, if you just build a debugger in and a program, then you can stop the program. And then another way is to set the breakpoints, and a Control C, that is another way to stop, and then the remote bug connection, that is another way. So with once some action is taken, then you can stop the program. Then you move on only one line or one step, and then see what is going to happen, how is the change of backtrace or local variables, and then any arbitrary expression, anything, for example, the status activation. So by using this debug.gem, you can do this kind of things. And there are some other expandable features. However, basically, this debug.gem make the program stop temporarily so that you can just run the program one by one and then monitor or check the status of the program. And then a CUI character user face or a command line interface that is available. GDB and LLDB. I think this command system is quite comparable to these conventional ones as well. And VS Code, as Maeda-san just presented, he said he used VS Code, and you can use a debug.gem on VS Code or Chrome, and then you can just do the operation with a cursor. So this is quite easy. So what we have to do is appoint the program, and then here script. Just to put the script into the debugger command, or like this, bundle exec something. This kind of expression can be just written, and then the program or debug.gem would start together with CLI. And then you can just start from IDE as well. I would like to make some demonstration. And this is VS Code. And then here, I stop here. I suspend the program here. And then I would like to just move on only one line. Well, I'm sorry. Well, network may have been disconnected. I'm sorry. But anyway, here, this you can see the local variables and backtrace, and the program stops here. You can see this kind of a situation on the screen. And then if you use IDE, if everything is okay, then by clicking this one, you can move on to the next line, for example. And then this is about remote debugging. This just function is supported as well. And you can just add this remote debugging onto the only running Ruby app. And then, so if you just open the port beforehand and then just make a connections, and then debug command, you can start a debug command. And the CIU or IDU, you can just connect them with them. And for example, you can do this kind of thing in different container or different machine or daemon processor. And in this case, a TTY, that means CUI interface may be difficult, but still you can do this. And not exactly debugging, but sometimes you would like to see or monitor the process status, and then you can use this tool or remote debug as well. And here, within the same machine, there is another Ruby program and a debugger front end that can be connected to that, and then it can connect to the different machine, another machine, or container or Docker used a container. You can just make a connection like this once you just leave the port open. So this is supported by debug.gem. And then in this demo, actually I tried to do the remote debugging. Actually, this is GitHub. This program is running the GitHub, and then I just attached this to that program before this presentation, but I don't know, it stopped. Well, if everything went okay, then I should be able to just step forward on one line. But this is some example of a debugger or use of a debugger. specifically what kind of situation we can use this gem. For example, other program development, sometimes you may see the failure of a test and then you cannot understand where to correct. Then print back, print or debug, that is oftentimes you want to do. But by setting the breakpoint, and then that is a break at the time of a failure, and you can do that kind of thing as well. So anyway, stop the program and then check the status, for example, local variables, and then this may possibly cause the trouble, or just try to move forward one step by step. And you can do that kind of thing, and that is a rather interactive way. And then compared to the binding of pry, I think step execution is possible. That is a good point. And then sometimes, actually, you may get into a kind of a non-stop running of the program, that kind of error. But you can just connect remote debug, and then try to move step by step. And then you can, or you may be able to find some strange loop within the program. So something is strange, but debugging throughout debug code, I think that is one of the benefits you can enjoy with this gem. And at the time of actual use or production, for example, in the case or you're not profiling it, but you may see a kind of a increasing of memory and others. There are some other management tools, but while you are running the program and then monitor the status, I think if the remote debug port is open, then it is easier to check the program running in a production environment. Compared to Profiler, I think it is possible to obtain more detailed information about the program. That means if you use a Profiler, only limited pieces of information is available or achievable, but by using the debugger, then you can just obtain information as much as you want. So there are many different scenarios or cases you can use debugger. And then another example is a code reading. Sometimes you need to read programs or learn a new framework. And yes, you have to read the source code and then just use your imagination about actually running the program. But if you use a debugger and then try to execute the program one by one or step by step, then it is easier for you to understand what the program wants to do. So this is quite flexible to what extent you would like to just move on and stop. So that is another convenient point. And then debug.gem itself is just quite easy to read beyond BS code and others, and then I'm now working together with other people to just improve furthermore. And this is a kind of a sales speech I may be sounding. However, the first step may be a little bit difficult. You may be wondering, well, there are a lot of documents, and then it is not so easy to read all of them before starting this debugger gem. So why don't you just come and ask a question to me? Because we are developer of a debug gem, and sometimes I don't know exactly what is the true trouble or problems that the actual users may experience. So your feedback input is quite valuable to us. And for example, by looking at the company's source code, and we may be able to discuss this together with you. So please feel free to just contact us, and then that is quite beneficial to us as well. So anyway, again, this is a summary. We have developed a debug gem. Why don't you please just use this one? IDE integration, remote debugging, that is quite convenient. Well, actually, this is not so easy, so why don't you just reach out to me for any question. That's all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sasada-san. Well, because there is no time to invite questions from the floor, if you have any question, why don't you just approach him directly or personally? He said, feel free to do that. Next.
So we'd like to invite Mr. Hiroshi Shibata for the next presentation. We are preparing the stage setting. Please wait a little bit.